Hello and welcome everyone. This side Kashish Vadwani from Board Infinity, and we are back again with an amazing session for you all. So today we are going to talk about some amazing sessions to be some amazing tools to become an expert in data analysis. And for this, we have Coach Priyal Doshi with us, who is working as a data scientist at ValueLabs. So first of all, welcome ma'am, and thank you for connecting with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, without wasting much of anyone's time, I'll quickly get to the questions. And my first ever question to you is that what made you choose to be a data scientist and how has the journey been so far for you?
Yeah. So, I am a biomedical engineer by profession. So, I'm not even, when I started off, I was nowhere even related to data science and anything to do with data. And very, very soon in my career, I realized that's not my calling. It's not something that I can probably build my career in. And I got an opportunity to join Accenture, and wherein I was involved in a lot of data munging, a lot of data cleaning, reporting, visualization, pretty much, statistical, traditional data science, and using a lot of statistical models. And that's where I realized that I enjoy doing what I am doing at Accenture. And that's where my journey with data science, I would say, started, probably in a phase that I didn't even realize that it is data science work that I'm doing. And that went on, and I went ahead, I completed my masters, and then I joined Cognizant and many other companies of that. Post that, I was in Deloitte for quite a good amount of time. And all of these companies, I was in the analytics divisions. That's where I realized this is something that I like doing. This is something that I enjoy working on. I can open my laptop every day and learn something new. I can, be a part of a data science project. I can code up something new. I can, train a new different model, and every day that brings me excitement. So that is how my journey started and continued all the way. And it's been approximately 8.5, 9 years that I am in the data science field. And I would say I'm still at a phase that I learn every day. Every single day is where I'm learning. So yeah. So my journey has been very much exciting and fulfilling so far. Yeah.
So, you were not meant to be here in the very
Yeah.
start,
I was
but
not. Yeah.
yeah, but you somehow landed it in here and you are enjoying the field.
Yes.
So my next question is that for our learners who are planning to be a data science professional, what do you think is the main advantage of taking this field?
Yeah. So we all know data is the new oil. It is something that everyone is aware about nowadays, and everyone is consciously, obviously it has its pros and cons, but given the technology advancement that we have, data science is the present and is expected to be even the future. And with that, we see, and even today in our present, we see a lot of everyday products and in and around products, which use data science as an enabler. Simple things like speech assistants, like Google Mini, Amazon Echo, Netflix, which we all browse almost every day, uses a lot of streaming recommendations. Again, that comes from data science. Uber, again, all of us use day in and day out. That is for, that uses a lot of data science for optimizing their ride schedules and their rides. So we see data science in and around everywhere. It's such a revolutionary place to be in. It is changing the entire industry around the globe, everything, and how you see technology as. And being a part of such a thing, such a field which is so revolutionary in itself is quite intimidating. So that's the first main advantage. Two, it being used everywhere, it's always in demand, and I don't see data science going out anywhere from our lives, definitely in the next 2 decades at least. So it's always in demand. And the third thing being, you have very much a lucrative career path with data science. So these three, I feel, are the main advantages of data science industry.
So there is a huge scope and also a very good requirement for you.
Yes.
Okay. So next question is actually connected to this one. So firstly, we were talking about what are the advantage of taking this field, but like you mentioned that there is a huge scope. So with this, many people are going towards this field. So will there be too many people working on it?
Um, okay, so the first thing I believe is data science as an industry has it's kind of an umbrella term, and just a second, yeah. So it's just kind of an umbrella term. It has many roles. This industry has many roles in it. There is space for being a data engineer, there's space for being a data scientist, there's space for being an ML engineer, and each of these roles have their own, requirements, and they have their own responsibilities to play. So that's one thing. Second thing being, since because of the technology advancement like we spoke about, data science, the ratio of demand is to supply is always going to be greater than one. The demand is always going to be way higher than what the supply is, because every industry, every company is looking out for data scientists, data engineers who are of good quality, who have in-depth knowledge, and who will be kind of cut out for their own job. So I believe, given the demand supply ratio, and also given the ability of people to stay relevant in their own field, and to be able to upskill themselves in their role, will define whether there are too many people in the future or no. Given this scenario, and given the past few years, and given the present scenario, I don't think there are too many people, given the fact that even when we are hiring, we're taking interviews. After at least 20 to 50 interviews, we land up selecting one person. So I wouldn't say that there will be too many people for one job.
So as you just now mentioned about interviews and selection process. So what are the top few companies working in this field and what do they usually look for in a candidate?
Okay. The top, I would say, top few companies, if you talk about technology perspective or product perspective, FANG is always there. They're kind of always looked out for pretty sought after companies. After that, we have consulting companies. We have consulting companies like Deloitte and Accenture, IBM. You have Microsoft. You have product-based companies like Flipkart and Walmart, and then you have Uber. So all of these companies, even investment banks for that matter, they're also looking for data scientists, data analysts. They're looking for business analysts. All of these roles are, they're hiring for all of these roles. And what a typically what companies look out for is, it's okay that you have not done everything in data science, because data science is huge. There's so many things to do in that. It's But whatever you've done, you need to know that to perfection. So clarity in terms of what you've done is very important. Second, your ability to explain and communicate and articulate, what you've done is very important to business, because ultimately that's when they'll be looking at you as someone who's going to represent their clients, represent them, their team, to the client. And it's very important that you're quite articulate in your skills and how you communicate to the business about the technical terms. The third thing, obviously, is about the business understanding as well. Data science works well when it gets adopted in the business. Data science standalone is not, it does not hold value, because ultimately you need to see the impact. So your business understanding is very important. And all of these things are apart from the technical knowledge that I'm talking about. So technical knowledge, yes, in terms of coding, in terms of analytical abilities, in terms of understanding algorithms, is something that is expected as well.
So since you mentioned tools and the technical skills, so I'll directly jump to the main topic of today's session, that is what tools should one be experienced in for being a data scientist?
Okay. So, in terms of tools, I would kind of want to break this down into three things. basic tools, intermediate, and advanced level tools. So, in terms of the basic tools, we can start with something as simple as a spreadsheet. We might not, as data scientists or data analysts, you or me wouldn't want to work a lot with Excel, but business people love Excel. They are very much, they are very much using Excel in their everyday life. So it is possible that you can get a lot of analysis from Excel, or some charts and graphs and all of those things that you want to make sense of in Excel. So something as basic as a spreadsheet is a very important tool for a data scientist, data analyst. Then, since you need to extract data from a database, a tool like SQL, a language like SQL is again very important, where you are extracting data from a particular warehouse or a database into, say, a Python or an R, or those kind of languages. So SQL is very important to create views, create tables of your choice, and then transfer data. The third thing that's important is the coding languages. So, for example, Python, R, SAS. So these languages are important because these languages are where you're doing your data munging, you're creating models, you're training models, you're evaluating the outputs. So all of these things are important. And the fourth thing is important in terms of visualization. You should at least know one visualization tool, maybe a Tableau, maybe a Power BI or ClickView, but at least one basic visualization tool. So these are the basic tools in terms of Excel, SQL, say Python, and Tableau. So in terms of intermediate tools, what you would have is going from Python to going to something like a big data language, like say SpicePark. Having some exposure to big data tools like Hadoop and then Hive, and having some exposure to machine learning, probability, statistics. All of these things are important. In terms of advanced level tools, I would say tools and techniques. What's important is having some exposure to cloud platforms, because nowadays many projects are transforming to cloud platforms, and they are being conducted on cloud platforms. Having some exposure to deep learning, NLP, all of these things are MLOps. All of these things are kind of advanced tools and techniques that you can have. So yeah, so that's my answer.
So we have three things: basic, intermediate, and advanced tools that
Yes.
applicants do. So my next question is somewhat related to this, but in a different aspect. That just now you told me about the tools that are required. So next thing that I'm going to ask, like, what are the top skills that are required to be a data scientist? Like something related to personality, soft skills, domain knowledge, or something related.
Okay. Um, is this for people who are transitioning into data science, or
For
is it for
everyone,
people who are experienced? For people who are transitioning?
for
Okay.
everyone in general.
For everyone. Okay. So in terms of soft skills, in terms of business skills, what's important? One is, like I said, it's very important to understand the business requirements and to have regular connects with the business. Also, it is very important to have an exposure to a lot of different industries, because that's when you will, working in different industries is when you will understand what your area of interest is, what your preference is, and based on that, you can, carve out a path for you in the future when you have some experience. So your exposure to different industries is important. If you haven't identified your area of interest yet, if you have, then obviously it's good to develop a niche in that area. The second thing, like I mentioned, was also about the business impact. It's always, many a times what people do is, they develop the product, but it's just left as it is. Sometimes people don't understand or take attempts to understand what is the impact of your product on the business. So to be able to complete that full cycle and to be able to close and understand the impact of the product, where it sits in the organization, which department does it impact, and according to that make amendments into your product. That is very important. Again, that comes from your interactions with the business, your clarity of thought, the way you articulate or design your data science project, the architecture, all of these things. So to summarize, I would say in terms of skills and in terms of things that you should look out for in terms of the aspirants who are wanting to transition in data science. One is um, to be able to expose yourself to different industries, to try out different projects, to be able to push yourself in an uncomfortable zone if you're getting too comfortable, and to be able to have a business understanding and to be able to articulate or to be able to uh, create your product which is more business viable, and because they're going to be the end users. So yeah, these are the three things which will be.
So the tools that you mentioned before that, Excel, SQL, and other things. Can you just give real life examples or something from your own experience? Why you are choosing these tools in general?
Okay. Uh, so in terms of SQL, it's you talk about any database, you talk about NoSQL database, you talk about MySQL database, and these are the most widely used databases. So you talk about these databases. What's important is you need to first aggregate and you need to get the information together in the way that you want your project to be. Like for example, if I'm working on a sales forecasting project, and what I get as an input from the business is point of sales data. That point of sales data is probably it gets collected every minute, every hour, things like that. So, and you have a lot of data quality issues as well in that data. So what is important is, if the client, the objective of the client is that they want to say look at the price elasticity. Okay, so and they want to look at the price elasticity at a certain level. So it is important that you can go back to SQL. You need to write few queries to be able to aggregate your data at the level at which the client wants to see the project at. So for that, SQL is very important. That's the first thing, because that's where you can create an aggregated table. Coming to Python, to be able to have a sales forecasting tool, you need to write. You need to have proper data munging. You need to have your data in a proper way. You need to do some treatments to improve the data quality. These treatments can be anything, like if there are missing values in the data, is there any way I can impute them? If is it possible to impute that field, or is it not possible to impute that field? If I see some extreme values in my data, is there any way to work on those values? Can I treat those values to be able to so that I can get the data in the way I want, which is an improved version or the improved quality of what I see before. So, and also you need to train your models. You need to evaluate how your models are performing. You need to test out your models. So all of these things happen in Python. Hence, Python is obviously very important. And if your client is someone who is not very tech savvy, they are just interested in looking at the figures, the numbers, the outputs, and all they want is, okay, my model should have less than 10% error, something of that sort. For those kind of clients, what the tool that is majorly that's used is a visualization tool, wherein you have your results, your data insights, all of that, projected in graphs and in charts and plots, which the business or which the client is able to relate in a better way. So that is why we need visualization tools. like Tableau, Python, R. And spreadsheets, like I said, is because if the clients are comfortable with it, then if that's a way of ingesting data or just looking at some rough, dirty data, charts and analysis, you can use that if the client is comfortable. So yeah, that's how I would typically use these tools across my project.
So that was a really generous and I'll say important discussion because they now know how they are going to implement this thing.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, there is one more thing that's associated with data science, mathematics. So, is it
Yeah.
really good or really important to be good at maths to be a good data scientist?
I wouldn't say you don't have to be good at maths, but if you're someone, for example, you develop a model, and if you're someone who wants to get into the math or the formula of the model, what is the function that drives the model, that's when you need very basic maths, like high school level maths. Like I'm imagine everybody would have come across limits and derivatives and things like that. So I think that's the only maths that you need. You don't need any extremely difficult high level maths. So that's a myth that exists.
So, ma'am, we are coming towards the end of the session, and I have my last question to you. That is, what would you suggest our upcoming data science aspirants to do for gaining an edge and also realizing their goal, just like how you realize your goal?
I would say one, do a lot of self reading. That's very important to read up about latest trends, what's happening in the industry, and try to motivate yourself in terms of upskilling yourself. Push yourself in an uncomfortable zone, and see if you're able to, if you like that particular zone or no, if you like being in that uncomfortable zone, or you like learning something new every day or no. Another thing I would definitely say is take up courses. They will give you the foundation that is needed for for you to enter. If you're completely new or you're completely unaware of data science, these courses help you lay a foundation, and they're kind of stepping stones for you to transition into data science. So take up courses. You'll find a lot of material available on the internet as well. We have Board Infinity as well. It provides personalized coaching. They're quite flexible in terms of the sessions that they have for the users, and they have good enough industry mentors as well. So you can even approach Board Infinity. There is a lot of self-reading material available on the internet. There's a lot of free content as well, and try to learn and upskill yourself is what I would say.
So I guess that's the end of the session, ma'am. And I really want to thank you for coming to us and also sharing so much of your experience, not just tools, but in each and every aspect. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And I hope this helps you to get a clear understanding of what you want and how you can achieve that thing. So that was it. Thank you. And